There's a moment a lot of men never notice. It happens in silence, not in the loud part of attraction, not in the flirting, not in the chase, not in the performance. It happens later, when the room is quieter, when the distance is smaller, when a woman stops listening to what you say and starts listening to what your presence feels like. And in that moment, what she wants is usually far less theatrical than most men imagine and far more revealing, because the truth is, intimacy exposes you. It exposes whether you're trying to connect or trying to prove something, whether you know how to be present or only know how to escalate, whether you understand a woman emotionally or you're just repeating what culture taught you desire is supposed to look like. If you're here for truth instead of fantasy, subscribe now. Not because a channel needs a number, but because you need a standard. And the moment you start choosing clarity over performance, you stop consuming noise and start building depth. That decision changes more than dating. It changes the way you carry yourself everywhere. Now let's get honest. A lot of men hear a title like this and immediately think in terms of technique, angles, tricks, some hidden physical formula that unlocks desire. That's the first mistake. That mindset already puts you outside the experience. It turns intimacy into mechanics. It makes you tactical when you should be attuned. It makes you chase effect while ignoring cause. Here's what this really means. The intimate positions women secretly love are often not the ones that make a man feel most dominant, impressive, or in control. They're the ones that make her feel safe enough to soften, seen enough to relax, and connected enough to actually want more. That is the part too many men miss. Real attraction is not just about stimulation. It's about emotional permission. It's about what her body is allowed to feel because your presence is trustworthy. And once you understand that, everything shifts. The first position is face-to-face. Simple, almost too simple for men who've been conditioned to believe desire must always be dramatic to be real. But face-to-face carries something powerful, emotional exposure. She can see you, read you, feel whether you're hiding. There's nowhere to go in that position except into the moment itself. No distraction, no performance, no escape route dressed up as confidence. That is exactly why so many women love it. Because face-to-face says, I'm here. Not halfway here, not physically close and mentally elsewhere. Here, your eyes are available, your attention is available, your expression matters, your breathing matters, the pace matters, the emotional tone matters. This is not about consumption, it's about contact. And most men are more uncomfortable with that than they realize. Why? Because eye contact inside intimacy is revealing. It forces a man to confront whether he can remain grounded while being fully seen. A lot of men can initiate, fewer can stay present. A lot can create heat. Fewer can hold tenderness without feeling weak, awkward, or exposed. But a grounded woman feels the difference instantly. She knows when a man is using intensity to avoid vulnerability. She knows when confidence is real and when it's just armor with good posture. That's the hard truth. The second position is side by side, close enough that the bodies are aligned, relaxed, unforced, almost like the world disappears for a minute and there's no audience left to impress. Maybe it's her leaning into your chest. Maybe it's your arms around her with nothing rushed in the energy. Maybe it's a quiet stillness that says more than words. And yes, to a man obsessed with fireworks, this can sound too calm to matter. But calm is exactly what gives it power. Because side-by-side intimacy speaks a different language. It says you don't have to perform here, you don't have to pose here, you don't have to earn this second by becoming someone else. It creates emotional shelter. And women who spend their lives reading pressure, managing expectations, and sensing hidden agendas often crave that more than men understand. Not because they want less passion, because they want passion without tension, desire without demand, closeness without feeling handled. That distinction matters. Now let's go deeper, because if you stop at the surface, you'll miss the whole point. The misconception is that women secretly love certain positions because of novelty or intensity alone. The deeper truth is that women often love the positions where their nervous system can cooperate with desire instead of defending against it. If she feels rushed, watched, assessed, or subtly pressured, even physical closeness can feel lonely, even attraction can start to shut down. This is where male confusion begins. A man says, but I'm doing everything right. Maybe mechanically, yes, but emotionally, maybe not. Maybe your body is present, but your energy is anxious. Maybe your hands are steady, but your intention is hungry. Maybe your words are smooth, but underneath them is the need to be validated, and that need changes the room. Women are incredibly responsive to congruence, not perfection. Congruence, when your attention is clean, when your pace is regulated, when you're not trying to force a response, intimacy becomes easier for her to enter honestly. But when you're pushing for a reaction, even subtly, she feels the weight of that. It doesn't always register as a conscious thought. Sometimes it just becomes a vague resistance, a tightening, a loss of softness, a sense that something is slightly off. That's not mystery, that's psychology. The root cause is simple, even if it's uncomfortable. Many men approach intimacy like a test they need to pass. They're not in the moment. They're measuring themselves inside it. Am I doing enough? Is she responding enough? Am I desirable enough? And when a man is trapped in that internal evaluation, he cannot truly connect. He can only perform connection. That's performance, that's fear, that's avoidance wearing nice clothes. A self-respecting man moves differently. He doesn't rush to manufacture intensity because he isn't terrified of stillness. He knows that sometimes the most intimate thing in the world is not what happens next, but how fully he can remain present now. He understands that face-to-face matters because it invites trust. He understands that side-by-side matters because it allows exhale. He doesn't confuse aggression with masculinity or pressure with passion. He doesn't need the moment to look powerful. He wants it to be real. Picture him clearly. He has a life outside romance. A real one. Responsibilities, direction, a mind he has worked on, a body he takes care of, not out of vanity, but out of respect. He listens without faking depth. He makes decisions without making a show of leadership. He's emotionally steady enough that a woman doesn't feel she has to manage him. When he's close, he's close. When he's quiet, the quiet is calm, not empty. He doesn't treat intimacy like a stage for his ego. He treats it like a place where truth gets louder. That man is rare. Not because it's hard to become him, but because most people would rather learn lines than learn themselves. And there is a cost to not understanding this. A real one. If you keep approaching intimacy through the lens of image, you will slowly train yourself out of genuine connection. You will become the kind of man who knows how to push moments forward, but not how to deepen them. The kind who mistakes movement for meaning. The kind who gets confused when attraction fades, even though on paper everything seemed to happen. And over time, that confusion can harden into resentment. You start blaming women for being complicated when the truth is you never slowed down enough to understand what they were actually responding to. They weren't only responding to position. They were responding to emotional atmosphere. Read that again in your own mind. Atmosphere. The room between you, the pace, the safety, the way your attention lands on her. The absence of pressure. The presence of real desire, not needy desire, not approval-seeking desire, but desire that can breathe. So what should you do with this? Not as a tactic, as a shift. Start noticing your own urgency. The next time you're close to someone you want, pay attention to whether you're trying to move the moment forward or understand the moment you're already in. Those are not the same thing. One is control, the other is awareness. If you're face-to-face, don't use eye contact like a performance cue. Use it like a bridge. Let there be a second where you're not trying to signal anything. Just be there. Let your expression be human. Let warmth exist without immediately turning it into intensity. If you're side by side, don't underestimate what calm closeness does. Stop thinking every intimate moment has to peak to matter. Sometimes the deepest desire is built when someone feels they can rest against you without losing themselves. That's not a small thing. That is trust entering the body. And if this sounds too soft to the part of you that still worships adrenaline, ask yourself something better. Why does steadiness feel so unfamiliar that you confuse it with weakness? That question matters. Because a lot of men are not uncomfortable with women. They're uncomfortable with calm. They need noise to feel powerful. They need speed to avoid feeling exposed. They need intensity because presence feels too honest. But real intimacy has a way of stripping all that down. It asks, can you stay? Can you regulate yourself? Can you connect without trying to dominate the emotional weather of the room? Can you care about how the experience feels for her, not just what it means about you? That's maturity. And once that maturity starts growing in you, your whole energy changes. You stop hunting for secrets and start becoming someone safe enough, grounded enough, and awake enough to make closeness feel meaningful. You stop asking what position works best and start asking what kind of presence makes intimacy deepen naturally. That is a much better question. A much more dangerous question too, because now the answer requires self-work, not just information. Good. You need that. Because your life will always rise or fall to the level of your self-awareness in relationships, in attraction, in every room you enter. And the man who learns how to be calm without being passive, strong without being hard, intimate without being needy, becomes unforgettable for reasons that have nothing to do with performance and everything to do with emotional truth. So yes, face-to-face matters, side-by-side matters, not because they are secret tricks, but because they reveal a deeper principle. Women often respond most deeply to the forms of closeness that allow trust and desire to exist together, not against each other. Together. That is your perspective shift. Stop chasing the most impressive version of intimacy. Start building the most honest one. You do not need to become more theatrical. You need to become more present. You do not need more force. You need more awareness. You do not need to rush toward intensity. You need to become the kind of man who can hold connection long enough for intensity to arise on its own. That man is not guessing. He is not grasping. He is not trying to win the moment. He is inhabiting it. And you can become him. Not someday, now. In how you breathe, in how you slow down, in how you stop using intimacy to patch holes in your identity and start approaching it as an expression of who you already are. Whole enough to be present, disciplined enough not to rush, honest enough not to hide behind techniques. That is the reset. You are not here to become better at looking desirable. You are here to become more real, more grounded, more emotionally clean in the way you connect. You are here to build a presence that creates safety without losing strength, depth without losing direction, desire without losing dignity. If that's the path you're on, subscribe and stay close. This is for people who want more than surface-level attraction, a community built around clarity, discipline, and growth. And if you keep choosing that, you won't just change how women experience you, you'll change how you experience yourself.